Ed and Lorrain Warren were a husband and wife team who became world-renowned paranormal investigators following probes into high-profile cases like the Amityville Horror, the Annabelle doll, and certain spooky events that inspired the Conjuring series. These are their most chilling cases, where they confront the true evil that lurks in people's homes. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our content. Now, turn the lights off, hold on to your blanket, and let's get to it. The demonic werewolf in London, Bill Ramsey, was considered living proof that werewolves really do exist. Born in Southend-on-Sea, England, Ramsey recalled an event in childhood in which he felt strange before a powerful rage came over him, and he was able to uproot an entire fence. As an adult, he would witness his face transforming into a wolf and his hands twisting into claws. Ed and Lorrain Warren became involved when London police officers reported being attacked by a werewolf. Ed said, "This was the first case of lycanthropy that we had ever come across. I interviewed the police officers that this man actually attacked. Now he stands about 170 centimeters, 5'7" feet, and weighs about 68 kilograms, 150 pounds. But he would take some of these police officers who were well over 183 centimeters, 6 feet, and he would throw them around like they were kindling wood." In 1989, the Warrens convinced Ramsey to come to their church in Connecticut and undergo an exorcism. During the event, Ramsey's face contorted, and he launched at the exorcist. Then all was calm, and the exorcism was a success. Since then, there have been no more incidents recorded. The Donovan family. In the early 1970s, Ed and Lorrain Warren met with the terrified Donovan family at their house. On arrival, the Warrens witnessed loud pounding coming from inside the walls, peeling wallpaper, water running blood red, and beast-like noises echoing throughout the home. The Warrens questioned the Donovan family. Had they purchased any unusual second-hand items, or had a family member passed away recently? Nothing was discovered until the youngest daughter, Patty, made her confession. She had used a Ouija board to communicate with a teenage boy who had died in the neighborhood 10 years earlier. The spirit never revealed his name to Patty, and the Warrens knew this was more than likely a demonic entity disguised as the boy. The Warrens immediately called for a priest. Following an exorcism, life inside the Donovan home slowly returned to normal. Ted Donovan's brother, who was a witness to the possession and the exorcism, wrote in a report, "I, nor anyone else in my family, have ever before witnessed anything so weird and terrifying." The Perron family. In 1970, the Perron family moved into an old farmhouse in Rhode Island. It wasn't long before their dream home became their worst nightmare. Carolyn, Roger, and their 5 children witnessed a tall woman in a gray dress roaming the house. Ed and Lorrain Warren investigated the home and discovered that the woman was a 19th-century witch named Bathsheba who had sacrificed her baby to the devil before hanging herself from a tree in the backyard. Bathsheba was a constant, penetrating force in the house and fought with Carolyn for dominance. Carolyn's daughter Andrea recalls, "Bathsheba loathed my mother, and she lusted after my father. My mother was never allowed to resume her rightful position as mistress of the house." Andrea added, "It wanted to be the dominating force, and we fought it for a long time. I guess we know who won as we left, and the ghost is still there." The Snedeker House. In 1986, the Snedeker family moved from New York to Connecticut so they could be closer to the hospital that was treating their eldest son for cancer. Unfortunately, the family home on Meriden Avenue in Southington that they purchased was a former funeral home, although they had to make this chilling discovery on their own. After renovations on the house were complete, Carmen Snedeker entered the basement for the first time. There, she found embalming equipment and body tags with the names of the deceased. The family soon realized that the house was infested with demons. Carmen witnessed the water in her mop bucket turning a different color. She recalled, "The mop water was blood red. I mean a deep, deep red. It made my skin crawl." The middle son said, "The lights were coming on and off and on and off, even though there was no bulbs in it." Ed and Lorrain Warren assisted in performing an exorcism on the house, which has brought closure to the family. Since then, no further paranormal activity has occurred. The Snedeker family remained in the house for 2 more years before they relocated to Tennessee. It is still a private residence, but people have been known to stop by and look at the property from a distance. Smurl family. In 1974, the Smurl family went through their own personal hell after moving to West Pittston, Pennsylvania. Janet and Jack Smurl, their young daughters, and Jack's parents all lived in the house together and suffered the worst 13 years of their lives. The paranormal activity began when their home renovations were found to be destroyed. New wallpaper peeled from the walls, freshly painted windows cracked, strange odors filled every room, and disturbing voices were heard throughout the house. Janet even revealed that she was molested one night in her sleep by a malevolent force. The Smurls were terrified and decided to contact Ed and Lorrain Warren for help. Lorrain discovered that the Smurl family home was infested with 4 spirits: a harmless elderly woman, an old man who had died at the house, a young and violent girl, and a demon that controlled the other spirits and had turned them against the family. The incident stopped by October 1986, and the family moved back to Wilkes Barre in 1988. Reportedly, a church-sanctioned exorcism took place there, and the property has been cleared of all activity ever since. Annabelle. Ed and Lorrain Warren's occult museum is a permanent home to the Annabelle doll, which is kept in a special protected case. In 1970, this Raggedy Ann doll was given to 28-year-old Donna, and it wasn't long before she and her roommate noticed that Annabelle was moving around the apartment on its own. They also found random notes scrawled on parchment that read, "Help us." At first they thought this was all a prank, but when events worsened, they decided to call in a medium. During the seance, they were able to contact a spirit named Annabelle, who had died when she was 7 years old. Ed and Lorrain heard of this and warned the women that a demonic presence was manipulating the doll in a bid to find a human host. After the Warrens witnessed Annabelle levitating, they removed the doll permanently from the apartment and placed her in the sealed glass case at their museum. In 2020, social media abounded with rumors that Annabelle had escaped the museum, but this was later determined to be a hoax, the fault of a poorly translated story into Chinese. Demon murder trial. In 1981, 19-year-old Arne Cheyenne Johnson fatally stabbed his landlord, 40-year-old Alan Bono, with a pocket knife more than 20 times. It was the first murder to have occurred in Brookline, Connecticut, in 193 years. Shortly before the murder, Johnson had moved in with his girlfriend and her brother David, who claimed he was being tormented by a demon. The family of Johnson's girlfriend called in the help of Ed and Lorrain Warren. They performed an exorcism on David, which successfully expelled 42 demons in his body. During the exorcism, Johnson dared the demons to enter his body instead. 1 month later, with no history of violence, he killed Bono in cold blood. In court, Johnson's claimed that he was not guilty by reason of demonic possession. However, he was found guilty of first-degree manslaughter and received a sentence of 20 years. He only served 5 years due to good behavior. Union Cemetery. There are many eyewitness accounts of the White Lady who haunts the Union Cemetery in Easton, Connecticut. It is known as one of the most haunted cemeteries in the United States. The White Lady has also been seen walking in front of people's cars as they drive along Route 59 late at night. Concerned drivers believed that they had hit a person and exited their vehicles only to discover that nobody was there. The White Lady name came from witnesses saying she wore either a white gown or what appeared to be a wedding dress. In 1990, Ed and Lorrain Warren set up their cameras in the cemetery to record the investigation. Shortly after 2:40 a.m., they heard the sound of a woman weeping, and a female form had begun to move several feet in their direction. As Ed approached the woman, she vanished from sight. Nowadays, the cemetery is known to close after sunset. Enfield Poltergeist. The Enfield Poltergeist terrorized a small London house in the Enfield suburb. Between 1977 and 1979, single-parent Peggy Hodgson and her 2 daughters, Margaret, 13, and Janet, 11, experienced furniture being thrown around, small objects flying across rooms, and picture frames falling from the walls. The children would find themselves levitating out of their beds. These paranormal events were witnessed by their neighbors, journalists, and even police officers. The younger daughter, Janet, had also begun speaking in a deep masculine voice which was believed to be the spirit of an old man. The family had received a lot of negative attention in the press, as the young girls were accused of attention-seeking behavior. When Ed and Lorrain Warren investigated, they found it was a case of demonic possession. Janet later admitted that she had played with a Ouija board before the disturbances had begun, and that she was unaware that she fell into the trances until she was later shown the photographs. The family continued to live in the house even as people attempted to debunk the story as only a money-making plot. Mary Hodgson died in 2003, and her daughter Janet still believes the possession actually occurred. The Amityville Horror. On November 13, 1974, at 3:15 a.m., Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. killed his parents and siblings with a .35 caliber rifle while they slept peacefully in their beds. Butch later told the police, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast." The following year, the Lutz family moved into the house on Ocean Drive in Amityville. A priest was called to bless the house, and he warned the family, "Do not use the upstairs room as a bedroom, and do not let anyone sleep in there." Within days, they knew something was wrong. Their young daughter made an imaginary friend with a red-eyed pig. Foul odors filled each room, furniture levitated, and banging occurred throughout the night. Finally, they fled from the house. When Ed and Lorrain Warren investigated, they discovered that the land had been used previously by a practicing black magician. He had requested to be buried on the land and remains there to this day. Kathy Lutz said, "Things of this nature happen quite frequently, and when they happen to families, they usually close the door and they don't talk about it, and unless these things are talked about, they'll never be understood." As we wrap up this chilling journey through the top 10 cases investigated by Ed and Lorrain Warren, we're left with a sense of amusement at the supernatural world that lies just beyond our understanding. From the haunting of the Perron family to the enigmatic Annabelle doll, these stories remind us that some mysteries remain unsolved, and some spirits refuse to be forgotten. If you've enjoyed this eerie exploration, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Dark World Hub for more spine-tingling tales. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive, but beware, for the world of the paranormal is not for the faint of heart.